and we'll get into this. So, perfect. Hello, everybody. My name is Erin Griss. I am the Director of Marketing for Bandwango. I am thrilled today to be joined by Steve Ekstrom from Tourism Academy. We are going to get into how to build an ambassador program through online learning that doesn't suck. So I am very excited to have Steve join us here. Steve is a wonderful human being that we've been so excited to share this webinar and share this information with all of you today. So this webinar will be sent to you in a recording afterwards. So if there's any information that you missed, you will get that in your email. As well as on the right-hand side, you'll see there's that chat and Q&A. Please feel free to put questions in there. We will leave some time at the end for any questions as well. There is also a handout there. So if you go to that handout toggle, you will see a PDF in there from Tourism Academy. So you can follow along there as well. But Steven, I'm going to pass it over to you.
All right. Before I start, I'm going to let you all know that I am a digital nomad and I'm connecting to you via satellite from Baja California. So if I do manage to drop out of this call for a second, I'll be back within 15 to 30 seconds. So don't worry about that. But let's go ahead and get started. I've got a couple slides prepared. The first, I want you to understand who we are as a tourism academy. We are a nonprofit 501c3 organization dedicated to education. Our origins reach back about 8 or 9 years or so when I was teaching an educational program in California, and Sheena Works, who's now our Chief Learning Officer, Master's in Education, business psychologist by trade, she might even have her PhD by now, asked if she could come along, and she said to me that it would make a great online program. I thought she was out of her mind crazy, and that's because I'd been subjected to so many awful, tedious training programs in the tourism sector that I thought she was just crazy. That started my own education in what learning can be, what the needs of adult learners are, and how people interact and operate online. That led to the founding of the nonprofit Tourism Academy. When COVID happened, I shifted my full-time effort from destination development to this nonprofit organization. So our mission is there on the screen. You're welcome to read that. You can learn a little bit more about me. Like I said, I'm a digital nomad. I travel with my dog. We've put on about 30,000 miles in the last year and a half throughout the US, Canada, and Mexico. I host a wonderful podcast where you can get to meet leaders of the industry. I noticed quite a few folks in the registration list. I've actually had your bosses and CEOs on our podcast. It's available on iTunes, Google Podcasts, pretty much anywhere you go for that. And I write for some travel magazines in my spare time. And I get to be a cool uncle. And I'm surprising my niece in Florida with a visit this weekend. So that's a little bit about me. Now let's talk about tourism ambassadors. What are tourism ambassadors? Well, tourism ambassadors are very similar to brand ambassadors, the brand being your particular destination. These are individuals who are trained to provide more favorable and frequent visitor experiences. Who can become a tourism ambassador? Anybody in a DMO's stakeholder base can become a tourism ambassador. Obviously, you have the folks working on the front line at your museums, your attractions, your restaurants, your hotels, your transportation providers who are dealing with guests one-on-one. Those folks should be some of your best advocates. There's folks in your business community. There are civic leaders, and of course the DMO staff. All of these are folks who work together to create exceptional visitor experiences or not, and that's why you need to train them to do so better. So let's first understand what can be trained. And it falls into 3 buckets. There's knowledge, there's skill, and there's behavior. Knowledge is knowing what something is. Skill is knowing how to use it. And behavior is the actual act of making a difference. There are a number of reasons why a lot of the education that you and I have been subjected to in this business just fails to meet the mark. And usually it's because it focuses on solely one of those characteristics, teaching you what something is, teaching you how to use it, or teaching you to do it, without incorporating the other two elements. This is where we developed a empathy approach to education. Education provided when, where, and how people need it. We found that online learning solves a lot of the traditional roadblocks to education. No longer does your education have to be available only to the people who are in a certain place on a certain day at a certain time. It can now be accessed anywhere that folks have internet access, online, on demand. So your passionate volunteer who's retired and has some time on a Saturday morning can take their class, or the person who's starting their first shift at a hotel at the evening shift on a Tuesday can take the class when they start. Online training has some other great advantages. We get to embrace multimedia content, video, text, quizzes, pictures, all of these, plus interactions with the screen. Designed well, they include innovative and intuitive practices so folks can guide themselves through the classes. It doesn't take extra time or labor from your staff to be able to train folks. And it provides you with some dynamic analytics that you probably wouldn't get otherwise. Information like who's taking your class, how much progress they've made, what their skills are, how well they've done in the particular quizzes, when they've come back to learn more. And it should be really, really easy to maintain. I can't emphasize this enough. Building and maintaining a course, maintaining it should take you no more than a few minutes a month if you do it well. And lastly is built-in gamification. We want people to be inspired and engaged in their classes. So one of the ways that we do that was with gamification. It has to be fun. If it's not fun, it sucks. And we don't want to create programs that suck. So let's talk about the tea. We're going to spill the tea here. This is the model developed by our team of instructional designers and educators. Instructional design is the actual trade of creating educational programs so that they meet the learning objectives and desired outcomes of training. I had no idea that instructional design was a career or a job before I started my own personal journey here in education. So I'm not surprised if you don't either, and I'm not going to judge you for it. Business psychology is another trade that I really wasn't familiar with until I started here in the Tourism Academy. And business psychology teaches us how and why people behave the way they do, particularly in the workplace. So all of this is focused on the adult learner and the needs of the adult learner. Our T model is what we measure all of our education programs against. They must meet these three criteria in order to be qualified to be on our platform and in order to meet the needs of the learner. They have to be transformative. Transformative means that the individual user has to be able to do something at the end of the course they were not able to do before. They have to be engaging. And have to participate with the screen, with the content, with the instructor, with their own notes, which is why you have a handout and I encourage you to use it. They have to be an active participant in their learning experience. And it has to be accessible. And that accessibility means two different things. Number one, how, when, and where people need it. And number two, to meet the learning needs of different styles of learners. The last time I checked, it was, I think, at least 7, if not more, different learning styles. When you talk with us and one of our team and you ask for follow-up information, we're going to ask you how you learn best. Do you read? Do you see visual? Do you hear things? Do you have to write it down? You name it. There are a lot of different ways that people learn. And in order to provide quality education to each and every one of them, you have to reach them where they are, how they learn, and on terms that matter most to them. That is education with empathy. So now I want to talk a little bit about the process of building an online course. The first thing to do is to identify your desired outcomes. What do you want people to be able to do after they have completed your ambassador training program that they were not able to do before? Do you want them to be able to speak with confidence about the destination, the history of the destination, the unique culture of the destination, where to go, what to do, where to eat, how to get there? What do you want people to be able to do when they've completed your course that they were not able to do before? Second step is to develop a curriculum. This is where we rely heavily on the input of our instructional designers. Curriculum, if you can think of it as a bullet point list that identifies what you're going to learn in each particular lesson, so that combined, those lessons add up to a practical application. Constructing those lessons is the third step. It's critically important that the lessons that you provide match the voice, the tone, the style that is your destination. They are representations of your brand. So constructing those lessons with text, with images, with video, with interviews, with quizzes and exercises, all of that goes into play to populate the content of your curriculum. Then you have to test it. So when we beta test ambassador programs, we first beta test it with the point of contact at the DMO. They take the class as a student, give us their feedback, and then they share it with a key group of stakeholders, again, to provide feedback so that we can make sure that the course is ready to launch to the public. There's an instructor orientation. Our method is that we create the courses to meet your learning objectives, give you the chance for feedback and input, making those modifications, and then we make you the instructor so that you can maintain the course, you can interact directly with your students, and you have the controls, if you will, from your instructor dashboard. So part of our training program and part of our process is to teach you how to be an online course instructor, to teach you how to change a video or add an image or update your text or check out your grade book and see who's making progress or where people are stuck so you can help them out or contact them directly. Then you get to roll it out to the public. And in our process, we provide you with ongoing support and maintenance. That falls into two different categories for support and maintenance. There's the technical, the actual online learning management system, and then there is the instructional design. How do you do this? How do you do that? What's the best way to teach somebody X, Y, and Z? Mark, you just posted in the entire group forum that you're late, so I'm going to sit here and judge you. And I invite everybody that's watching and participating to judge Mark. He says he's late, but he's sorry about it. So thank you, Mark, for joining us. Now we've got a couple of demos to show you. The first demo that I want to show you, and Aaron, are you able to bring up those videos for us? Or do you want me to?
It's up to you. I can pull them up really quickly, or if you have them ready.
Please do.
Roll. Okay. Give me one
So the first
second.
No problem. So the first video that we're going to watch is a demonstration of what it's like to take an ambassador training program from the perspective of the student, the individual in your community who wants to become a better part of your mission, who wants to share their passion for the community, who wants to share their interest in the community, who wants to help you create better visitor experiences. These are your students. They may be consumers, they may be business leaders, they may be frontline workers, they may be community volunteers, they may be the folks in City Hall. But these are our students. So Aaron, if you want to go ahead and play the video.
Perfect.
And hopefully we have some sound with that.
Is it? Can you not hear it?
I can't yet, but I can talk through it if you need me to.
You might need to talk through it because the audio's playing for me. But
so this right here is a course landing page or a course display page. Up at the very top, it tells you what the name of the course is. You can see a description, display image, and even a promotional video. This is to tell people why they want to take your course, what's in it for them, what they're going to learn, and what's included. So once we've taken a quick look at that, we can go ahead and start the course and hit play. I think I'm talking the right way. We can see how many people have participated, how long the course is, how many lessons or lectures there are, and we can go ahead and enroll. We enroll with a password and our email address. The registration key is actually pretty simple to work through. So we're going to go ahead and enroll as me. And then we start the course. On the left side, we have our course curriculum. The curriculum, again, it's like that bullet point list. What are we going to learn in each and every one of the lessons that leads us to the point of having that transformation and being able to apply what we learned? We have the ability to include multiple types of media. So in this particular lesson, we have a message from our mayor telling folks why tourism is so important to our community and thanking them for participating in the program. We're going to mark that particular lesson as complete, and we're going to go ahead on to our next lesson. This lesson is a text lesson. So we're giving folks something to read here, something to digest at their own pace. Once they've read that, they can go ahead on to the next lesson, and we're going to introduce them to the staff at our CVB. This is all completely customizable. And in this particular case, we have both a text and video, and then we move on to a quiz. We use quizzes, and you might want to pause this for a second. We use quizzes a little bit differently than you're probably used to. In a traditional setting, traditional education, a quiz or a test is designed to make sure that you remember, or to test that you remember what you learned before. That's fantastic. It's boring. What we use tests and quizzes for is to actually teach. These are teaching tools. So instead of me telling you that the average visitor spends $350 a day in our destination, I'm going to ask you to take a guess. It's not scored, it's not rated, it's not critical that you get it right, because we're going to teach you the right answer afterwards. So we want you to learn by interacting with the content, with the media, with the screen. A little tidbit for you. The average attention span for somebody who's learning online is about 4 minutes. So what we do is we aim to keep each and every one of our lessons under that 4-minute mark. Within 4 minutes, you have to somehow or another touch the screen, answer a question, click to play a video, something. So that webinar that you watched last week that was 45 minutes long, and you went and made yourself a cup of coffee at the start of and let the dog out and everything else, you can't really do that with effective learning. So this is one of those quizzes. You can go ahead and hit play, Aaron. So we're going to take a guess here at what our typical visitor spend is. We're going to check to see if we got this answer right. We're also going to teach folks how many people are impacted by tourism. We've got mix and match, all different types of exercises that we can apply here. We passed our quiz, and we can go ahead on to our next lesson. Once we've completed a number of these lessons, we can add surveys. We can find out why people are interested. We go through all of our lessons in each of our sections or modules, and at the end, we get a certificate of completion. So as you can see, this particular course has 2 modules, or 3 modules, one of which is creating positive visitor experiences, one is understanding the importance and impact of tourism to your DMO, and Aaron, you can go ahead on to the next video. The next video that we're going to talk about is the view from an instructor perspective. So now we've taken one of these courses as a student. Now we're going to see what it's like to manage a course as an instructor. So this is our instructor dashboard. What you can see here is a number of shortcuts on the left side of your screen. So you have the dashboard, you have announcements, a grade book, assignments, bundles. You can create new courses, you can add students, and you can see payouts. So yes, you can actually charge money for your courses, or you can give them away for free. We've already created this Tourism Ambassador Certification course. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at this, and we're going to see how many people have viewed it, what our current ratings are, how much we're charging people for it. We can go ahead and click on our grade book. Our grade book is going to tell us who's taking our course. These are the analytics that are critical to making sure that we are producing positive learning experiences. How many students, how much progress they've made, the number of quizzes that they've passed. We can even drill down to see by individual user, and we get the individual user's contact information. So each and every person that takes your course should be a lead for your organization. We can create an announcement, and we can send that out to all of our students. So you have an intuitive and internal communication tool as well. If you've made assignments or given assignments to your students, you can go ahead and check them here. We don't advise this. It's more work for you. You can do it if you want. It's your course, it's your program, but let's be honest, let's keep this simple. You can create bundles, so you can actually create a learning track where your first program might be your general tourism ambassador program. The second level might be a become a local tour guide program. And you can enroll students just by pasting their email address right in here. We have a bulk enrollment tool as well, so you can upload from a database those who may already be enrolled in a program or those you want to carry over or grandfather in. So let's go ahead back to our dashboard, and we're going to course. We're going to make a couple edits to it. So we've opened up the course, and here we have a what you see is what you get, or WYSIWYG, as somebody told me, which just sounds silly, but it's a text editor. If you can edit or manage a Google document, you should be able to manage your courses in just under a few minutes a month. We're going to go ahead and open up our message from the Mayo. You see, all we had to do was post a Vimeo link in the text, and that automatically displayed it as a video lesson. We've identified it as a video lesson type. We've let folks know how long this lesson lasts. It's 4 minutes, and we've given a description that can appear in the public display before people actually take the course. If we need to change out the video, all you have to do is replace that link, or if you're using Vimeo, replace the video in the Vimeo tool. You can even add lesson materials and handouts, just like we've done here in this particular program. You can have handouts that folks can get once they've participated in the class. We saved our changes, and there you've had it. We've created an online ambassador program. We had a question that came in. Can you please provide a couple examples of assignments for students or stakeholders? I have some. You might want each person to upload a picture of themselves so that you can create a mosaic or a display page. You may want folks to write their favorite thing about the city, or you may want to collect their input and suggestions to create an article on what your ambassadors recommend. Those are some great examples of easy assignments. If you want to hand out, fill out this particular sheet or form, or show us a copy of your worksheet so we know that you did the work, you can do that too. However, the objective of training is very different than the objective of academic learning. With academic learning, we want you to know knowledge. With training, we want you to know knowledge, skill, and change behavior. So what's most important to us is that the folks have the skill and opportunity to create more positive visitor experiences, better than they're able to tell us who stood on a particular blade of grass in 1862. So if we go ahead on to our next slide, I want to talk to you about some of the important factors that you should consider when creating an ambassador program. First is the length of your course and its individual modules. So we'll get to that in just a second. I think we have some great motivational tools available for everybody. I saw the question that came in from Megan. So some of the important factors that we're looking at here with creating your course is the length of the course and its individual modules. Science tells us that the average American and Canadian has under 30 minutes a week to spend on training. We want these courses to be achievable. We want people to be inspired to participate, and we want them to want more. So in order to do that, we have to present them with content that fits within their schedule. We recommend that the typical module be about 25 minutes long. The average course that we're producing these days is typically 3 to 5 modules. So somebody who has 2 hours on their first day at work, or an hour and a half on a Sunday morning, or somewhere in between on any particular day, they can actually go in, they can finish the module or finish the course in the time that they have allowed. Cost is a tremendously important factor for DMOs. I know this, you know this, we all know this. I don't think we have to reiterate this, but there are a lot of hidden costs in most learning programs. And that's something that I want you to be aware of. Number one, your time. How much time does it take to have one or two members of your staff lead a 2-hour program twice a month, every month, all year? That is a lot of investment. Some of the costs that you should anticipate with doing it online. There's a learning management system, a subscription to a learning management system that allows you to build and manage your courses. These range from hundreds of dollars to tens of thousands of dollars. Some of the hidden costs with those are user licenses. Our model is that you get unlimited registration with your courses. Most of them max out. You get 100 users and then you get bumped up to the next level and you have to pay even more money to manage your program. Also look for hidden costs and features. Some programs may offer you the analytics, but it may be an extra charge. So be mindful of that, and be mindful of how much it costs to actually develop your programs. There are folks out there who, will charge you to write a 200-page novel about your destination that, frankly, nobody's going to read. Like, let's be honest. What we do is we charge you for the instructional design services almost as a consulting project, and we use mostly material and content that you've already created. We pull from your website, we pull from your display materials, so it still has your voice and your tone. Ownership. Who owns your course? This is a big one. If you need to make changes to your course, it has to be your own, not belonging to some third party or some consultant. In our case, when we create a course for you, we hand over the instructor key, and it is your course. It belongs to you. You can do what you want with it. You can even create more if you'd like to without hiring us for the consulting work. Fourth is maintenance. How much time is it going to take you to maintain your course? And last but not least are the ongoing engagements and rewards. Why do people want to take your course? What's in it for them? Obviously there's going to be the pride and the accomplishment of taking your course. Obviously there's going to be that vested interest in the success of the community that people have. But I think there are a lot more opportunities for folks to become engaged with the DMO beyond just taking the course online. One of our strongest suggestions is that the online be one piece of that onboarding puzzle, tied in with live, in-person activities that allow the user not only to experience your destination, but also stuff. And I think that that's why it's such a great opportunity for us to share this conversation with Bandwango, because you have some fantastic tools that are available to help folks remain engaged long after they've taken their course. One other thing that I will point out with our course.
He's cutting out a little bit. So before we get messages about it, I know that he's going to be right back. So, but I did want to reiterate what he was saying about Bandwango passes being helpful in this instance. We'll touch on that a little bit, but it looks like Steve is back. The satellite was in the wrong area, but now he's back. Go ahead. Sorry.
You got to love the technology. I mean, the fact that I can even do this from,
exactly.
earshot of a beach is not a bad thing, or the donkey, because there is a donkey here.
Very true. If you just want to, we lost you at the very end, or when you started the
okay.
Point,
so what I was going back to is maintenance. What does it take to maintain your program, and what does it take to keep people involved and engaged in your ambassador training program? The way our learning management system is set up, if you add a new module, the people who had their certification previously only have to take that new module in order to maintain their certification, their certificate of completion, which, by the way, is branded to match your location, your destination. So do people need to go back and recertify every year or 2 years, or do they just need to update and refresh on the information that's already available to them, or what's new? You have the option to maintain that and to control that. And yes, folks that are in our system and take your courses, you can give them access for a year. You can give them lifetime access to the course so they can constantly go back and refresh, or they can have to take it again after a certain period of time. You get to decide. So Erin, I'm going to hand it over to you if you want to talk about some of the incentives and engagement programs that you have available.
Awesome. Absolutely. I am going to share my screen with you all now. So where does Bandwango fit into this? And we are so lucky to be having this conversation with Tourism Academy because we do hear a lot of how do we motivate these frontline staffers that don't have very much time? They're so busy. How do we motivate them to get to do these programs? And we feel like a Bandwango pass is a perfect way to do this. So creating a pass to reward the new ambassadors for completing their training is a great way to plug in this opportunity. So encourage participants to get out and visit the businesses and those areas in your destination. We do have some current clients that have this in market. If you're not familiar with what Bandwango is and you're on this webinar, Bandwango can curate experiences in your destination in a mobile exclusive mobile friendly pass so that you can go check in, redeem discounts, or if you have a gamified pass, you can earn prizes there. So what can these passes include? High value discounts at businesses. So these, we're talking really high value discounts. So we want these to not be that 15% that you would get if you're just a person walking in off the street. We want these businesses to really encourage these ambassadors to go visit, to experience that business. So this would be only for ambassadors. We have a team here that's here to help you get those discounts out of those businesses because we know that can be a challenge as well. So we can definitely help you with that. Check-in challenge that rewards the ambassadors for the more venues that they check in at. I know that Steve talked about a gamification portion of Tourism Academy. We also have that gamification for the pass. So encouraging them to not only just get into one of those businesses, but get into all of them so that they win specific swag for them. That ambassador specific swag can be a real motivator for these people to get into those businesses. So not only those high value discounts, but I can win this really cool t-shirt. Doesn't have to be something super expensive, but something that makes them feel special and noticed and that they went through all this hard work to represent your brand and represent your destination. So, we moved too fast there, but we do, as I mentioned, have some of these passes in market currently. So Tourism Jasper in Canada has an ambassador pass that launched February 2022. Visit Franklin also has an ambassador pass that launched in April of 2022. Want to just give a little insight that these pass images are from our version 2 of the mobile pass. So we have an updated version of the mobile pass. Our mobile passes no longer look like these images on the left. Wanted to give you an example of what these can look like though. So as I mentioned on the slide before, passes feature exclusive high-level discounts to encourage ambassadors that have completed training to visit these local businesses and attractions in their destination. So not all of these are just businesses or just restaurants. They also are different areas to go check out, especially in Jasper because it is in the Rockies. They want to get people out and about in the area so that they're familiar with the area and able to talk to those visitors in a way that is representative of their community. So also wanted to touch on, I thought Jasper did a really great job writing their pass description for these passes. So wanted to go over that. So as the keepers of the Jasper brand, our role is to present Jasper as it really is, an awe-inspiring and an authentic Rocky Mountain destination, the entry point to Canada's most epic adventures. It is from here that the greatest personal expeditions begin, where explorers and wanderers from around the world collect to enjoy the activities, accommodations, restaurants, and businesses of the town of Jasper, before taking on the real Canadian Rockies of Jasper National Park. So again, really encouraging words there. I want to go explore Jasper just from that. So if you want more examples of this, we do have other passes in market for like VIPs. So this idea and this concept is not new to Bandwango passes, but we do have some best practices for this as well.
We had a question that came in, and that is, how long does it take to build an ambassador training program? Our typical build is a 12-week build. That includes opportunities to understand your desired outcomes, mocking up your curriculum, populating content, beta testing, onboarding for your instructor, and rollout. So all of that can be done within a 10 to 12 week period.
And for a Bandwango pass, we want to make sure that you all know, for building out a Bandwango pass, we look for at least 60 days for those Bandwango passes to be built. So keeping that in mind as well. Awesome. We have a few questions in here. So I'm going to start listing these out, Steve, if you're good with that. But
sure, go for it.
Are you able to provide a couple examples of assignments? Oh, we already went through that. Sorry. How long have you been offering this training program, and are you willing to share what CVBs or DMOs you've worked with or are working with?
Sure. We've got nearly a dozen that are in the pipeline as right now, in addition to those that have already launched. I'm more than happy to provide testimonials and testimonial decks to those that are interested. And you can visit our website and you can check out our sponsor and collaborator page, so you can see some of the destinations that we work with, all right there and accessible and available to all of you. One of the other questions that came in is, how do you ensure that ambassadors receive the incentives in the past and not the general public? Erin, how do you do that?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a few different ways to do this. Jasper and Franklin do it in a way. So for Franklin's pass, you have to have a specific promo code to sign up for the pass. So Franklin is the keeper of the promo code to sign up. These pass product cards are not on just a landing page on your website like other Bandwango passes would be. These are kept secret on a link that only the Visit Franklin team has to send out to these people. So you can do it with a promo code. You can do it with that link that's secret. Depends on how exclusive we're trying to be with this, but there's a few different options there.
Another that we've noticed a lot of our organizations are doing is, once folks sign up for the course, they become leads and they become part of your own network and part of your own database. So those are folks that you want to roll into a regular marketing campaign. You want them to be receiving your newsletter. You want them to be the first invited to the new opening at a museum or an exhibition. You want them to complete a check-in challenge and then come and visit at your visitor center to pick up the prize. Closing that loop between the online learning, the in-person interaction, and the community involvement. I think those are all critical factors there. Somebody wrote their ambassador program fell through the cracks during COVID. What's the best way to re-engage those? Let them know that you're launching a new program. You can actually send a CSV or Excel file and automatically enroll them in your new program, and encourage them maybe with a phone call or your regular communications to get involved and to stay involved. I think that there's a lot that can be done to not only re-engage, but to strengthen those relationships, particularly with online learning and a more effective training program.
Yeah. Brad asked a very great question here. I know Bandwango can track geolocations. Is there a way to check in or track things through Bandwango that aren't geolocated? Absolutely. So we have a few different check-in options at those different either businesses or locations. For your specific example, I would recommend pin check-in. So if you have a specific pin for people that either plant a tree or did something else in the community, then they could go check in at, maybe you wanted to make that like the plant a tree venue or something, a specific pin for them to then check in and then count towards that.
So we have a question about pricing. Do you want to talk first about Bandwango, and then I can share from our perspective?
Yeah, absolutely. If you're interested, I'm not going to go super far into details with this because I am not on the sales team and I am not a salesperson. But if you're interested in wondering about pricing for Bandwango, I recommend you get in touch with our sales team and I can get you in touch with them. We have contracts that range, so you don't have to sign their annual contracts, but you don't have to sign on for the big massive contract for sure. You can do a one pass program if you would like. So that's one pass a year or up to 4 passes a year. So I can get you in touch with salespeople, but I apologize for not knowing the ins and outs.
And from the Tourism Academy standpoint, there are 4 things. We're a nonprofit, so we're not for broke, but we definitely need to keep our lights on. And the 4 ways that we do that are the subscription service to our learning management system. Because we do provide folks with unlimited student registration, the ability to create, manage your own courses, the gradebooks already included, that's scaled based on the general revenue of your DMO. That's the best indicator to us in how much burden there's going to be on the technology, how many users you're going to have. So that is scaled. The second thing that we offer is the instructional design services. Like a consulting work, I'm in a van and my dog just woke up. So be prepared to hear him. But the consulting project, so that's based on per module for development. I can get into process on that specifically. The third thing that we do is we have speakers who are available to provide live training, whether that's online or in person. So you can always contract us for that, for your meetings, your events, your motivation, inspiration programs. And lastly, we have sponsors, and the sponsors help underwrite the cost to keep it as low as possible for all of our DMO partners. And you can bring in your own sponsors to pay for it too. Wink, wink.
We did have a question in the Q&A section. How long does it take to build a basic program for a destination? Yep. You went over that one, right, Stephen?
Yep. Yeah, so, our build out is typically 10 to 12 weeks.
Perfect. Awesome. Did we get through all the ones in the chat? Because I have a few we can go through here.
I think we did.
Perfect. Okay. Well, I will pull up my list. Everyone, please keep adding them in. You guys have better questions than I do for sure. But I wanted to ask.
Right.
Yes. He knows. He's been talking to me for too long now to plan this, and he's like, I don't want to talk about it. So how? Let's just go with, what is the biggest success you've seen come from an ambassador program?
Oh, without a doubt, community engagement. You know, watching people be able to exercise the pride in their community is what really inspires me. I'm a nerd. You know, I love to learn.
Oh, you just cut out.
I'm a nerd. I love to learn.
And
I learn from every opportunity. And I think that that's something that our community members have in common with our travelers. People travel because they want to learn about someplace new, something new. And to give members of a community a chance to share and to educate is priceless. There's a wonderful quote that I find myself saying pretty frequently. It's, when one teaches, two learn. And that to me is the success.
Perfect. Marilyn, just wanted to touch back on your questions. So for them to go back to the modules for reference in case they forgot something, Steve, can you touch on that again?
Absolutely. You can choose to give folks lifetime access to your course so they can go back and refresh anytime. You can choose to make it timed so that they have to retake every year or every period. It's completely up to you. What's the average amount CVBs charge participants to take the course? I am a strong advocate of making it as accessible to your community as possible. That means when you can, make it free. You know, you want every member of your community, regardless of their schedule, their work habits, their time, or their ability to pay. You want them all to become advocates for tourism. So I'm a strong advocate for making it free. You can charge a fee if you want. That's completely up to the DMO. Maybe that fee is going to offset the cost of the souvenir hat or the volunteer shirt for the convention center, or you know, the welcome event. That's completely up to you.
And Janet asked in the Q&A, could we at least get an idea on cost? Janet, do you want to clear, is that for Bandwango or Tourism Academy? Or we can answer both. I know that Bandwango contracts can be somewhere between, I believe it starts around $6,000 for the year up to $25,000 for the year, depending on what CVB, what organization, how big your destination is, all sorts of different ideas there. So I know that's a huge range. Again, our salespeople are here to talk to you about cost for your organization. But Steve, did you want to touch on that?
Yeah, our range is fairly comparable. But folks find that they're spending a lot less time to manage it. Most of our clients that had existing ambassador programs had somebody either part-time or full-time just to manage this. And now it takes them 10 minutes or less a month. So one of our DMOs mentioned that they were spending and absorbing an amount of money on the program on this came in at a third of the price. So, it really does depend on your particular needs. Russell had a question about DMOs that have joined. We have a full list of testimonials and partners on our website, and we'll be happy to share that with everybody afterwards. I think we have your contact information, so we'll send it over to you. And case studies and all that good stuff. We have all of that available for you.
Awesome. Steve, what's the biggest no-no in building an online course, would you say?
Make it a course. If you look at it from an academic perspective, you must know this, you must know that, and testing people on whether or not they remember certain things, that's the big no-no. It just isn't fun. And I think you have to look at it in terms of giving people the knowledge that they want in terms that they need it. So that education with empathy is key. Do you want to read a 200-page book before you take your class? No, nobody does. So why do it? Think about putting yourself in the visitor's shoes. We have a question that came in. Have you seen any destinations try to build online communities of this program? Absolutely. Absolutely. Once folks are signed up for your program, invite them to be a part of a group. Invite them to follow you online. Invite them to your newsletter. The folks that have completed your check-in challenge, close that loop. If you've completed the check-in challenge, come and join us at the next networking event. See us at the farmers market. You really want to cultivate that community so that you can provide better visitor experiences. And yes, your ambassadors can communicate with each other. Our platform does have chat and communication capabilities, and you can take that offline as well, or bring it to Facebook or any other platform if you'd like.
Awesome. And Susanna asked, do you have to buy both, or they can be purchased individually? Tourism Academy and Bandwango are two separate entities, so you purchase us separately, but obviously we love working with each other, so we are happy to work with whatever you're doing for your online program, trying to get that involved with how you're building your pass. So two separate entities there.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And we are big believers in collaboration is key to success. And that goes with us in Bandwango and any other organization that wants to provide more effective and efficient training and education. We are here to work with you to make that happen and to share our expertise, our knowledge, our experience in such a way that helps you do better at what you do. So even if you don't end up working with us and you have a question, you are more than welcome to call us. We're here to share. So, awesome. But I prefer you work with us.
Megan asked a question above. So we've tried ambassador programs in the past. One of the hurdles is the mindset of the people we want most to reach. So frontline workers that don't want to do something they don't have to do. Any example of working with CVBs with a similar demographic?
I think, you have to focus on reminding folks of how important their role is within the community and how important their role is within the tourism environment. One of the most common, modules that we have, it's providing better service. Every boss that has frontline employees wants their people to provide better service, or they should. What's the impact and what's the value of tourism on our community?
Oh, we lost him.
So that
we lost you for a second.
Okay, so we've got service. We've got the impact of tourism on our community. We've got how to find resources so that you can tell people where the restaurants are, what things there are to do, what activities are happening or events are happening this weekend. You want to teach people how to find those resources. And, an online course with rewards, incentives, and a certificate of completion is not the same as telling somebody they have to go to class. It really is something that they want to participate in. They want to be a part of the community.
Yeah. Just a question from me. Have you ever seen this tied into any trainings for those frontline workers? So when they do join a restaurant, can this be tied into the training as they're? training for
Absolutely.
their person.
Yep. Yeah. Absolutely. And hotels are notorious for that.
Yep.
So not only are you here working at our hotel and you have to take our hotel training, but we also want you to know the community so that you can better serve the visitor who's at the front desk.
Awesome. Elizabeth, how can or do you work with content creators in the region using the Ambassador Pass? I can touch on this with a Bandwango Pass. A lot of our Bandwango passes, they have a hashtag associated, so you get that UGC content for those people that are visiting those local businesses, visiting those areas using that specific hashtag, so you get that UGC. We also have a lot of our partners as well creating VIP passes. So these are passes that are specifically for those content creators, those bloggers that are coming into town, can provide similar deals and discounts as the ambassadors, but these are emphasis on those content creators that you're getting those earned media placements or UGC posts. So.
And to follow up on that, your ambassador training program, while I've really talked about how you can apply it and you can use it for members who are in your community already, it could also be a lead generator for your travel, trade, and sales teams, and that you can provide training to tour operators, travel agents, advisors all around the world on your community and what there is to do and where to go. You can provide that to them and have that as a lead generator. So I think that that's another great way to loop in members of your community that you might not have otherwise been considering. You can create additional modules for meeting and incentive planners. You can create additional modules in a variety of languages or segments, so there really is an unlimited opportunity there.
Awesome. Hi.
All right.
Is there anything else that you wanted to add before everybody get their last minute questions in?
I'm glad to be here. I thank you for this opportunity. I am really a strong believer in education, and when people know better, they have an opportunity to do better, and that's what we're here to help. So I appreciate it. I look forward to catching up with any and all of you that want to. My contact information is right there on the screen. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. And thanks, Erin, for pulling this together. I don't care what people say about you. I think you're all right.
Well, I appreciate that. No, thank you all for joining. One last comment from me is we do have our February webinar all planned out. We're going to be talking about how our partners have worked with local organizations to build passes. So stay tuned for that one. We would love for you all to join in on that. Also, we will be at the Destinations International Marketing and Communication Summit. So if you're going to be there, look out for Emily and Emma. The Bandwango marketing team is full of E's. So if you see a Bandwango worker and their name starts with an E, they're probably in the marketing department. But we are all so grateful for you to be joining us. And again, feel free to reach out with any questions. Thank you all.
Have fun, everybody. Enjoy Taco